Welcome back, horror fans. It's Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Time, and that means another episode of Week in Horror Podcast, the only podcast when there's no more room in hell. We are coming to you live from our YouTube channel, so for all of our podcast listeners, be sure to check us out so you too can be a part of our live audience. This week, we're covering select films released in horror history March 7th through March 13th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Eugene, and with me today are Alex and JL.
Except I'm not Alex.
Except he's not Alex. I apologize. I apologize. I didn't have time. It was such a quick change. I didn't have time to change the script.
Okay, so minus Alex. So with me always is JL and Johnny.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Apologies for that. Yes, unfortunately, Alex is home sick tonight. And it's not only him, apparently, all four, or else, he's got 3 kids. He's got 3 kids, one on the way. But apparently everyone is sick in his house, and it's a long line to the bathroom. So hopefully he will be feeling better soon, and he will join us next week. Man, we got some sad news recently.
Yes, I'm so upset about it.
Yes, I'm very, very bummed. And that is because there's a big event that we here at Week in Horror have been really looking forward to. I'm a huge fan. I've been going to it for years, and that is Texas Frightmare Weekend. It is the premier horror convention of the Southwest. In my opinion, it's in the United States. But typically it's every April. It's like the last weekend in April, going into May, and it got pushed back last year. We were really, really bummed. We were going to have our first major ad for the show. So we bought some space in their program, and we were going to have that ad run there. We were going to go out there. We were going to wear the Week in Horror shirts, and we were just going to hobnob with horror fans and just spread the word about the show. And unfortunately, got delayed because of the log allergy out there. And then it got delayed to September, and then it got pushed again. It got pushed to April of this year, and we just found out that it got pushed again to September of this year, which makes me very sad. But hopefully, maybe September will stand, and we won't have to wait until 2022 to finally go out and interact with the horror fans.
Well,
so
I was thinking that maybe, just maybe, it would happen until Governor Wheelchair.
Don't get me freaking started, man. And although technically it is a fucking horror show, it really is. It is a fucking horror show.
Some of you may die, and I'm prepared to make that sacrifice.
Yes.
If it was discovered that Abbott was like performing dark rituals, and that all of these people that he's sacrificing are intended to make him walk again or something, those sacrifices to his dark god, I wouldn't be surprised.
Me either.
I really wouldn't.
It's like the scene in Jaws where that mayor wants to reopen the beach despite. And in the movie, you're like, that's stupid. Who would ever do something like that?
Oh yeah, that's just a caricature. Nobody would ever be that stupid.
Yeah.
And then the governors of Mississippi and Texas got together and said, "Hey, remember that awesome governor we saw on Jaws? That could be us."
That could be us.
I feel like Sheriff Brody right now. I'm like looking at it, I was like what do you can't fathom.
Yeah.
Because it was like, no, 30-foot shark eating people off the coast.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, okay, yeah, it boggles my mind.
And the fucked up thing is if to add like the point to the exclamation point, we had the highest number of new cases yesterday that we've had in a week?
Yeah.
So cases went up. And we have
I hope this dark god appreciates the sacrifices. Oh, whatever. Yeah, well, let's look at something good. Let's look at who we've got in the chat tonight, who has joined us for Week in Horror. Kevin Paul, who is first. Says, line shit up, Johnny. I know you're going to see this, haha, and I bet it still ain't lined up.
No,
he didn't have it lined up. He had it lined up just in time. It was really great.
No, he's talking about the fact that the boxes are a little off.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But no, they came to me. Ivy Gentry, good to see you. Gavlar, the Hand of Zod, one of our brilliant patrons. So good to see you. Mandevil, loudly ragey Ballard. Charlie, so good to see you. I know we had some others. Dark Steve, he just put it away, Eugene, because I let everybody know that we were kind of waiting on you. Just because you got held up. And it was like, yeah, we got to wait for Eugene to get here. Eugenics from Charlie Welch. Oh, that's what Jessica G wants to practice.
Yeah.
Which I don't see Jessica G in the chat right now.
Jessica G is not in the chat at the moment, but she may join us here in a little bit. Let's see. Mandel says, I'm here especially for Late Phases. He loves that movie. Yes, that movie was amazing. Nick D'Amici is a fucking badass, especially in that little flick. I really loved it. Let's see who else we got. Dark Steve, so good to see you. Another one of our brilliant patrons. Really do appreciate you popping in. Jeff Roberts, another excellent patron of ours. So good to see you. And Chris Durham Music Channel. Oh, he says cases went up on the day the governor put the collective guard down. Who would have guessed it?
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
There's a perfect meme for that. You don't say. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Steve, it does suck. Well, both things suck. You know, the pushback of Texas Frightmare Weekend, and of course, you know, our government trying to sacrifice us all to his dark gods.
Yep.
Let's see. Mandel says, was Eugene listening to PhD Tony's vids again? We might be here for days. Oh, absolutely. Jinju, excellent to see you. Hey, hello, everyone. Where's our Queen Troll? I'm not sure where Jessica G is, but hopefully she will be here soon. Charlie Wolf says she had to get her horns sharpened.
Yeah, it's coming back. Yep, you're back.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So, yes, they were talking in the chat about that cephalopod. I believe it was an octopus that passed a cognitive test designed for human children.
So that says that either human children are incredibly stupid or this damn AT&T. I fucking hate these assholes. Fucking piece of shit.
Okay.
All better?
We're good?
I think so.
Let us know in the chat if you can hear us, if everything is good. We think we got it sorted.
I need to fire AT&T. That's all there is to it.
Surprised you haven't already.
I have zero options. The only option I have is AT&T.
Yeah, they do stuff like that on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we have some of the slowest internet in the world.
Yep.
All right. So, yes, we were talking about, I see that Shane Summer, so good to see you. Thank you for popping into the show. They are discussing the cephalopod that passed a cognitive test designed for children. Personally, I don't know. Maybe it's the next step in their takeover. I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, they are incredibly intelligent.
I mean, they really are. Have you seen the one where it was an octopus was able to open and close its own jar?
Damn.
Like it was inside the jar and it was able to go and just rotate the lid. It figured out, suck it, rotate the lid, open it, climb out, and then close the lid.
Wait, are we still talking about octopuses? Are we talking?
Oh, yes.
I saw that in Thailand once too.
So Tina Jones, so good to see you. Thank you for stopping by the show. And I think Shane Summer as well. Thank you so much. 2AHD Cat. This is, oh God, it's that HIJKL Warren and and the cornhole again. Don't know the Alex guy. Unfortunately, Alex is not with us tonight. He is ill. We have Johnny's covering for Alex, and the other guy in the corner, that is Eugene. And let's see. All right, God, it kind of throws off your momentum, you know, when the internet kind of does that. It's wild and wacky.
It does. We're having a great conversation about sucking, twisting, and popping out of cans, and I don't know what the fuck we're talking about anymore.
Fucking crazy.
It was a good time, though. Good time.
I mean, you know, I had a good time. That's all I'm saying.
What are we gonna do? All right.
Well, I'm guessing
that would be Eugene's cue.
You can't just throw us off. You know what? It's like what Alec would say. You're here to talk about horror movies.
That's right.
Yep. So you know what? What do we have up first?
Oh shit, that's me.
Yes. What do we have up first, Johnny?
I forgot I'm not Alex. I mean, I am Alex. Shit. All right, we got late phases. Yeah. Let me get my notes here. I'm so bad. I'm so terrible at this. I'm not terrible at this. I just didn't. I wasn't prepared because I didn't expect to do this today. I was supposed to be, pulling all the levers. Anyway, Late Phases is a 2014 American Mexican. Hey, that's kind of like me. Horror drama. Let's see, directed by Adrian Garcia. Oh, I can't read. I mean, I can't see because of my eyeballs. Bogolino. There you go. It's his first feature film in English, which is cool. Starring, who we got there? Nick Damisi, Ethan Embry, cool. Lance Guest. Written by Eric Stoltz. So basically, we've got Mr. Vietnam vet who's blind and kind of a shithead. Lives in a retirement home that is overrun by werewolves, and he has to take his blind ass and kill them all, and he does because he's a blind Vietnam vet.
He is an absolute hard ass in this one.
He really is. And that's why I really like this movie. I always love movies where you have that guy who's kind of a badass that has to fight off the evil. I love movies like that, and how he's always several steps of the game. He's going off counting out his steps. He's practicing. He's like swinging the shovel around, and just the way he fights. And I like how it builds up to. I don't know if I can super spoil, but there's a huge battle at the very end.
Yes, an excellent film. Oh, I'd like to make a quick mention real quick. Man Devil, I'm so glad you enjoyed the T-shirt. Those things came out awesome. I don't know what it is about them, but those shirts are amazing, aren't they? So really, really cool. He won that, I believe, in the trivia that we hold at the end of a show, at the end of a previous episode. But yeah, the one thing that I dug, I mean, obviously Nick Damisi is an absolute badass. I love him. I've loved him in everything I've ever seen him in. He's just he really just rocks the classic midnight B horror films. The one thing that set this apart, and the reason I love Late Phase, is in the sea of werewolf films that are out there. The film is 50-50, to be perfectly honest, because the biggest aspect of the movie, in I guess in my opinion, or I would say 50-50, the front part of the movie is not about werewolves. Werewolves are actually secondary to it. Now, the werewolves are great, and there's a fantastic transformation scene, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But I loved the character relationships in this movie. And that was the big focus on this. I love that the characters were so well defined and so well fleshed out, that the relationship between Demisi's character and his son, played by Ethan Embry, and of course his relationship with the priest in the church, played by legend Tom Noonan, and how he interacts with individuals. And you can see the history of him, because he's a soldier. He was a sergeant when he retired, and I love how much Demichi put into that. The film is loaded with character, and you get a rich feel for all of these people, especially all the people, because he's in a nursing home. So all of the people that surround him, all of his neighbors, each one brings something to the table, even in the smallest of roles. And that's part of the brilliance of Nick Damici, because it's the reason because he was involved in the production of this movie. And it's one of the reasons why I love watching him so much, because he always brings a huge amount of depth to it. And I always dig horror films that put as much emphasis on the characters as they do on the movies. So films like The Babadook and similar ventures, we really get to enjoy the characters, because when you can enjoy the character, you can invest yourself, and you can really, really drive. You get the feel of the end of like in this one, the great epic battle at the end when he takes on the entire community of werewolves. You really feel for him. So really, really enjoyed this one. I just dig that. I dig the character development.
I mean, that's a solid thing for good horror films, is great characters. You can, because it's him in a retirement home, and like you see, we talked about he gets attacked by werewolves. That story alone can be kind of But what sets that film apart from a lot of others is the fact that you feel for him. You're rooting for him throughout the entire film. Good characterizations. You want to make a good horror film, start with great characters.
Even though he's a bit of a dick To be honest, he kind of is. He's kind of an asshole through the most of it. He doesn't have a great relationship with his son because there's drama there, and I won't spoil it, but they do get into it. There's drama there. He kind of cantankerous to his neighbors. The only person he really connects with is the local priest, and played by Tom Noonan. And I love the because he's like a soldier, and soldiers are, from their training, are very reactionary. They react to certain scenarios, certain stimuli. Not to mention that he's blind, so he's got a and then handicap. Watching the character chafe under that handicap.
Okay,
he's handicapable. He's handicapable, but watching Nick Dimici's character chafe under that, because he's a soldier, he's self-sufficient. That's what he's trained to do. He's also a trained killer, so it's kind of like, this is what I am. But I'm blind, and now I have to fucking deal with this bullshit, and it's just amazing, because he'll walk around like he's not blind. People, he's obviously fucking blind. So, but he'll just walk through the world like fuck this world. So he's a lot of fun to watch in this, and I really, really dig those. Especially with werewolf films, typically all the focus is on the monster, and the monsters of this one are good. But I really, really enjoyed this one, and of course Nick Dimici, I've loved him ever since I first saw him in Mulberry Street. So.
Another thing is, one of the big aspects of werewolf films, which, to be honest, we don't really get a lot of werewolf films as compared to, say, vampire zombie films, is because every werewolf film, you gotta have that transformation.
Yes.
Like you have to really be able to nail it. And so when they actually were able to get Robert Kurtzman to do the special effects for it.
Oh, from Walking Dead.
Yeah, from Walking Dead, which, so for people, we talk a lot about like some of the others like Tom Savini, but the whole list of films that he has worked on, we're talking about the films like From Dusk Till Dawn. Also, he did Dr. Sleep, he did It Follows, he has done a huge list. I'm going through, he did Tusk, he has done Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Bubba Hotep, huge list of films. And they actually convinced him to do it because
pause. Oh. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
It went no data for a second, so keep going.
Okay. So
we'll get it on post.
Okay. So they were actually able to convince him to do it because clearly he was already well established at this point, is because he has a soft spot for werewolves. He wants to do werewolf transformations because those are one of the things that's near and dear to his heart. So they're able to get him at a discount rate.
That's interesting because Kurtzman is huge and has worked on, obviously, probably the biggest thing he's worked on is The Walking Dead, and trying to basically come up with new zombies every single episode. But I love Kurtzman's work. He's up there with Winston, with Botten, with some of the real great, the real legendary guys, and his work I was really impressed. I dig it. The werewolves, I will have to say, the werewolves are don't expect like howling werewolves or dog soldiers werewolves in this. They're a little bit on the different side, but I think that it has. But I like something new. It was kind of cool. Where it's not the retread of what we usually get. So I dug this one, and of course the transformation scene in this one, because every werewolf film has got to have an obligatory transformation. You got to watch the guy, whoever it is, turn into a werewolf.
I'm trying to think. Did Wolf have like an obligatory one, or is it more subliminal, more of kind of just
with Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
Yes, it did have one, but it was towards the end because it was like he was completing his transformation, and it was like his transformation was permanent. And then he runs. Yeah. But it was after the fight with James Spader.
But I thought that happened off screen. I don't recall it happening on screen.
Slowly but surely, and then it has that final shot when he's running off into the woods. He's ripping off his clothes, and he looks like a werewolf. It just, the focus wasn't so much on him turning into one, but we got images of his face, and and then eventually he's like, "Oh, I'm going to run off into the woods, rip off my clothes," and he's all hairy and shit. And then of course
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, and then Michelle Pfeiffer turns into one too. So
at least that's the implication.
That's the implication. Yes. I I dug this one, and I wanted to talk about it because it was rather impressive. Now, if you remember movies, if you see movies like, obviously An American Werewolf in London, which had a truly impressive transformation scene, what they did with that, having the actor there with the puppetry, elongating fingers and stuff and all that craziness. And of course, a really interesting one, kind of a gross one, was Werewolf Hunter with Julian Sands. That was a super creepy one because it was almost like Birth, and that was kind of
gross. Yeah, it took me a second, but now
yeah, it was kind of gross. That one was kind of nasty. And of course, one I have to give special mention to that really blew my mind, left my jaw on the floor, was Hemlock Grove. The series Hemlock Grove, not great. I mean, the first season was good, but
that
2
was on
and 3,
CW, right?
No, that was on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
I think it's still on Netflix. Now, the first season was solid. And that pretty much Hemlock Grove is what launched Bill Skarsgård, into pretty much the horror genre. They said, oh, he can play horror characters because he played a vampire in that. And then, of course, he'd go on to play other creepy stuff. Like he played the kid in Castle Rock and, of course, Pennywise in It. But the transformation of the werewolf in that one was gnarly as fuck. Pieces falling off, and then of course, the wolf is underneath it. It's fucking huge, and the wolf is coming out and shedding the human part of it, like just skin falling out like that, and then the wolf eats it.
That's
because it's
that's pretty visceral.
Yeah, because it's a dog.
Tastes like beef.
There you go. But it was really gnarly. It was really intense. I hadn't seen something like that before. But this one was neat. And especially this one was neat because of the camera work. Eugene?
The camera. And so
I seriously thought that was a cultist behind you, Johnny. Just whoa.
Yep. She's coming on.
But yes, it was the Ivy Gentry. Yes, it did. It happened on screen, which is really, really cool. Well, especially what they did with the camera.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was actually trying to do a lot of research on how they did it, and this was one of the ones that actually kept it really tight knit. So in terms of like what exactly they used for the transformation and how to get it to work, they really kept it, which actually I kind of like that because you kind of have to guess, because it looks like it's kind of a mixture between a little bit of CG involvement, but on top of that, maybe they went towards the old school where I know a lot of the transformation in American Werewolf in London and in The Howling, they use like air bladders and stuff so you can get the swelling to go and the shirt rips open and everything like that. But they really kept it tight knit. The only thing they said was that the producers did not know if it would work until in post-production.
Well, the thing that I dug on this bad boy was oh, yes. What was it? Man Devil mentioned the werewolves in Trick or Treat. They tore off their human skin and were wolves underneath. But the cool thing about Trick or Treat is they did it in a striptease fashion, which I thought was really fucking sweet. That was cool. Like,
JL, you're really not helping yourself.
I don't give a I don't care who you are. That was sexy as fuck. It really was. But the thing that was neat about this one that caught me as a filmmaker was instead of having the focus on the person, and then we get glimpses of the change, and then somebody react, and then like Tom Noonan's like, oh, they put the 360 shot this. So the camera would be on the dude changing, and he'd be in a particular state. Then the camera would swing 180 degrees and catch Tom Noonan's like, oh my God, he's turning into a monster, and then swing back around and he would be in a more advanced part of the change. So it's over. Now I could tell that they used some puppetry because he brings up the hands and the hands are changing, and then he would be on the floor, and so the camera's like go all over the place, and it's not so fast that it's disorienting, so you get enough detail. But of course you have Tom Noonan's reaction, then more from him, and then so on. And trying to choreograph something of that nature, if it was all, and it was done in camera, so all of your practical effects have got to be on point. I'm trying to imagine how many crew were hovering just out of sight or just out of angle in order to do what they need to do at the angles that they needed to do it. And of course, you would also have costume changes because his shirt is getting progressively more and more torn up. And so you've got to switch that stuff out. It was very theatrical, which I thought was really, really neat, because you don't often see that level of intricacy go into a scene like this. The focus will be on, you'll get a moment and then you'll cut away so that they can edit around it and they can take their time doing the transformation. But this one was intense. And I do remember reading in an interview that the producers were unsure if anything, you said if it was going to work at all. They had no idea. It's like, this is what we're going to plan to do, and we don't know if this is going to play. And they didn't know.
Yeah, if and I actually love watching scenes that do this. You can actually go on YouTube. You can find just scenes, and they'll actually show whenever they'll do, say, camera movement or 360 camera movement. And then they'll do have a BTS, like a camera, like in the back corner of a studio, so you can see the transformations. There's a really good one from a film, and I don't know the name of the film, but it follows the life of a family inside of an apartment, from when they're like the man and woman meet to they get married to they have kids. And so what ends up happening is the camera is stationary and it does a 360 movement as it's just in this one apartment. And you see the entire apartment go from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. All of a sudden there's a baby. The kids are growing up. There's outfit changes. But it's one take and the camera just slowly keeps going across. It slowly keeps doing this turn. And you have crew members rolling in panels for like the apartment supposed to be a wall. They're putting in a TV. They're putting the props. They're moving the dining room table. Then they jump out of shot. Then the actors and the actress comes in. They say their lines. The camera goes past. And while the camera's on them, they're moving stuff behind the camera. And they're getting it ready for like the 80s. And it goes in. And honestly, that may be 2 or 3 days of shooting.
Definitely.
To get that right.
It brings Johnny, what was the name? There was an Orson Welles picture back in the day that opened up. It had Charlton Heston in it. And it opened up with an uncut shot of Charlton Heston and the actress playing his wife walking down the street. They were in Mexico, and they're walking down the street, and traffic is going by. Vendors, it's like they're walking down, walking through the marketplace. And at one point, they actually cross the street towards the camera, and the camera's following along. One take,
Touch of Evil.
No cut. Touch of Evil.
Yeah, Touch of Evil.
That was the first time I'd ever seen that, and it was only like, I think it was less than 3 minutes long. But we were talking about the logistics of doing a 3-minute long no cutaway, rolling down a street, and all the choreography. You got the choreography of the traffic, you got the vendors working, you got all the extras working. Everyone's got to be on point in order to make sure that this goes off without a hitch. And then, of course, you got to know where the camera's going to be. You got to know where the actors are going to be, and everything's got to be planned out and rehearsed. And it requires a tremendous amount of effort. And then we, of course, 1917. And I know it's not a horror movie; it's a war film, but 1917, all one cut.
Yeah, and I love watching the behind the scenes of that, because they had we'll call it like a Ronin DJIs, which was like a 3-axis stabilizer that they'll have mounted on the back of a motorcycle while the main character's running, and then 2 cameramen will run up to the back of the motorcycle, lift the Ronin that has the camera on it, lift while the actor slows down, and then a crane will come and scoop up the camera mount so they can do like a sky shot. And this is all choreographed. And because the majority of the film takes place outside, they have to wait for the certain weather. So there were days they couldn't even shoot, that they were just out there. So what they would do is, well, we can't shoot today because it's too sunny out. So they would just rehearse and rehearsed over and over. And I like at the very end where he does the grand shot and the army's charging and he's running through. He was supposed to actually run through clean, and several of the extras accidentally ran into him. And so he actually went down, got up, and started running to try to catch up, and a couple others, and they ended up liking it so much because it felt more real, because it's a charge and focusing on the battle. It was really easy to run into somebody, and they ended up left it in the movie.
Nice. Mandevil said, the car scene in Children of Men was also like that, but in a moving car. because they were inside the car, people reacting to everything, and that was an intense fucking scene. That whole movie was fucking intense. It was amazing.
Yeah, Mandevil brings up a good point that 1917 and the other one, the Children of Men, they weren't. It wasn't really one shot. It's just cleverly done to make it look like it was one continuous shot.
Well, it wasn't one shot, but the thing is the shots are a lot longer.
So I think in 1917 everything was like a freaking 4-minute long shot, which and then when they put them together, they did it so well. Again, it looks seamless. They did a really good job. Gotta say
that's pretty good. That's damn amazing.
That in itself right there, the technical skill that it takes to put cuts together to make it look seamless is a feat in itself.
It really is, because you're not doing just your typical hard cuts. There's like one where he gets knocked unconscious, so yeah, it's a hard cut. But a lot of times what happens is you'll have somebody walk across like the camera or some object, or a car will drive by, and what it'll do is it'll be like a sweeping cut. So it's not just a hard shift. Mm-hmm. The cut will follow along something going across, so it'll cover that up.
Right.
Nice.
It takes a lot of planning too.
Oh yes, the level of technical mastery that goes into performing stuff like this just as a filmmaker blows my mind. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to try that out. But that's what stuck out about this one in late phases, was that they had the stones to. Number one, it wasn't that big of a budgeted film. I think the budget on this thing was only. It doesn't say. It does. My notes don't say.
Let's see here. So, I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it.
Low budget. You can tell the vast majority of their budget went into making the werewolves.
Yeah, the transformation scene was the most expensive part of it, but it didn't even give us. Yeah, there's no budget for it.
So being that, I love seeing stuff like that and recognizing filmmakers should be recognized for the technical mastery that goes into that, and I think they should get more credit. Obviously, Robert Kurtzman, soft spot for werewolves, like he says, and the opportunity to do something new that hadn't been done before, because that one continuous shot with the camera going 360, and it was about, I would say the transformation scene was a little less than 2 minutes, but still 2 minutes straight on camera, that's pretty wild. That's pretty intense.
The fact you're talking about choreographing something maybe like 20 or 30 people seamlessly, making sure everybody hits their mark, making sure not just the actors hitting their marks, but the camera hitting their mark, the makeup people, puppetry, all that kind of stuff, dipping in and out constantly. It takes immense planning.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of work. That's months and months upon making sure that everybody knows where they're supposed to be. It's that's huge planning right there.
And one thing I got to give a shout out to is Nick Demisi, because he said in an interview that it was terrifying for him playing blind, because obviously he's not blind. So now he does wear contacts that kind of that give that kind of haze over his eyes, but he could still see. So he had to kind of like trust his instincts and just kind of go and kind of do what he thought it did, and it came out wonderfully. And I think him being afraid of that worked, because oftentimes actors who can see and they try to play blind and try to play it off, they will wear dark sunglasses, they'll do something, and maybe they'll look at the ground and yet they have the cane and everything, but not him. I don't think he wears sunglasses once in this. So, and he pulls it off brilliantly.
He does towards the beginning where he's like moving in, and
he was wearing them.
Yeah, where the lady comes in, he's like, "You smell really nice," but I think that's about it. Because it's really hard to train your eyes, because you naturally just look at stuff. Your eyes will just go here, go there, and it's hard to just like, okay, talk to somebody while they're standing like here.
Yeah,
because naturally you look at them.
Yeah, Mandevil in the chat says, I was wondering during the movie he was really a blind actor or not. Yeah, he's not. And he just he said,
excuse me 1 second, I'll be right back.
And he was terrified because he tried to blindfolded himself, and he was like, maybe if I can just get used to the movements. He's like, this isn't going to work, because even if you blindfold yourself, you can still kind of see. There's still light there, and you can kind of pick, even if it's dark, you can still kind of pick stuff up. So it's a level of awareness that the blind simply do not have. and he found that to be just kind of like the barrier between him and pulling off this role. Hey, Commander Darklight, so good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Another one of our brilliant patrons. But I thought he was absolutely because that reflex to look towards what you hear. And as an actor, I can tell you, you are looking for your cue lines.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how hard you rehearse, you're in the middle of a conversation, and the conversation is rehearsed. So you're waiting for that cue line. Somebody says something, and your eyes will move in that direction. It's just reflex. Never once did I see him fail that. I don't know how many takes they had to run through, but he knocked it out of the fucking park.
Yeah, man, I don't know if I could ever do that. Play a blind role. I mean, I don't have the best eyeballs, but yeah, geez, I've never attempted to do something that I've never attempted that handicap. Probably because it is extremely difficult, and I've never just
I
really had that
apologize about that. That was some loud music coming in the background.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty intense. As an actor, I have to admit that was a pretty intense. I mean, the level of commitment that goes into that, and the level of focus that goes into it. And when you know Demici's background, he literally just kind of puts himself up. He's just a regular guy from Brooklyn. He's a New York guy, born and bred. And it's a shame that I see him constantly relegated to B-level horror. He's great in them. He knocks him out of the park. He's fun to watch. I love his work. I wish he got a little bit more, because we've seen that he's got this capability. He's got this level of talent and focus and dedication. I do hope that, he kind of blows up and he gets some really, really good stuff, because he's a totally underrated actor.
Yeah, he really is. And I hate what happens a lot of times is horror performances go as just horror and other genres won't even look at them. Because you have some really, really talented performances in horror. Nick Demici does an amazing job in this. You look at like Anna Taylor-Joy in The Witch, or we talk about Toni Collette. You will have these amazing performances that are just completely snub, and they get stuck in these horror films. Which I love horror films, it's awesome, but they don't get the recognition they deserve.
Look at Bill Hader in It Chapter 2, probably the best performance of his acting career in that film.
I would agree.
And, I mean, outside of people saying, hey, it was awesome, nobody talks about it.
He's really good. He's really good in that HBO series that he's got where he plays the assassin. He plays the hitman.
You're talking about Barry.
Yes, Barry. He plays an assassin taking acting lessons and learning to become an actor. But he's a hitman, and just gets tried. And he's really good in that. But it was the first time I'd ever seen a side of Bill Hader that wasn't the classic. Bill Hader is either a caricature of somebody, or kind of like
just a
forgetting
quick,
Sarah. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That whole kind of thing. I like that he got to stretch his legs.
Yeah,
and see what.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And see what I'm hoping now is you'll have some of these people like Bill Hader that may come from a comedic background that are really starting to show off their acting chops. Because I think one of the biggest surprises was Danny McBride directing Halloween in terms of him doing straight comedy and switching hard to horror.
David Gordon Green directed it, but Danny McBride produced it.
Yeah, but he ended up produced it on top of that. Yeah. So it's kind of nice to see we get some people start going into horror and start showing off their acting chops.
Yeah. Man Devil, when Nick Nolte plays a blind guy, they just put a bottle of vodka on a stick and hold it where he should be looking.
Yeah, it works.
That's funny.
Bottle of vodka and a cocaine straw. Wait, what? Anyway, we're all nerding out on some of this here technical stuff, and aren't we supposed to be talking about like werewolf films?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Speaking of, here's your call to action, audience. What is your favorite werewolf film? Let us know in the side chat, comments down below, or what is it, weekinhorror@gmail.com. Give Alex, who's probably puking his guts out right now, give him something else to do.
weekinhorror@gmail.com.
Yep.
Personally, my number. Oh, dang it!
What happened?
Hey, we're good. Okay, I think we're good. I saw no data and it was buffering for a second. So I honestly have to say my favorite of all time, The Howling.
That's a good one.
See,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say either The Howling or American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Man Devil also American Werewolf in London. Dark Steve says The Beardsman.
Beardsman.
That's funny.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a huge werewolf film fan, but Silver Bullet was really good.
Silver Bullet was good.
American Werewolf in London. And
Did
then,
you know? Did you know that Gary Busey ad-libbed virtually all of his lines in that movie?
It's that's not saying something, right? He just can't remember. That's just because he can't remember. He can't remember his script. He was so coked up.
The director's like, he got close enough.
Yeah.
He got close enough.
Poor Gary Busey. Let me see here. What else we got? Gavel the Hand of Zod says Dog Soldiers, also an excellent one. A lot of good actors. Sean Pertwee was just fucking amazing in that one. Ivy, is it Gentry or Gentry? Gentry, Ivy Gentry, American Werewolf in London. Fantastic. I see nobody saying American Werewolf in Paris because that one sucks.
It was so bad.
Let's see. Man Devil says plot hole. It's so far ahead, but The Howling is a good second. Jinju says Ginger Snaps, and Ginger Snaps was legend. I mean, I would say that was revolutionary because it was one of the first times we got to see the werewolf horror in a brand new light, and that's compared to girls going through puberty, going through the change. Really, and not to mention Catherine Isabel. Fucking amazing in that movie.
There's that one in, I think it's like Love, Sex, and Robots, where you had two werewolves in Afghanistan that were fighting.
Yes.
That was really good.
That was fucking amazing. Man Devil, Gary Busey ad-libbed falling into the bush in that movie. And Jinju says, Busey, coked up? How could we tell?
Yeah.
And Dark Steve says, when will we cover Killer Tomatoes? I actually don't.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I actually don't know.
It's not on the upcoming list so far.
No, not so far. We don't have it coming up. But I mean, that would be. I know it was late 70s. What was it, 78, 79? It was we will be covering Attack of the Killer Tomatoes in October.
So another 6 months.
Yeah, in October. That's an October movie for us. Gary Busey ad-libs life. Oh man, poor Gary Busey.
That's why he made mistakes.
we love Gary Busey. Gary Busey's amazing.
Yeah.
Come on, he was in Predator 2 and he kicked ass.
He was in Predator 2. He was also in
fucking alien.
Was he like Under Siege also, I think?
No, he was Lethal Weapon.
Yeah,
Lethal Weapon.
He was the bad dude in Lethal Weapon. It was believe it or not, it was fucking Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah,
was the bad guy in Under Siege.
Yep. Actually, the bad guy in Under Siege was Steven Seagal.
All right.
Yeah, the victim was us, the audience.
So moving on, we're going to move on to our second film for the night.
Hang on a second. Before we move on, I have to show you what... we got to show you something here because... All right, cool.
Dark Steve, a fucking alien. He's here on safari. The lions, the tigers, the bears. Oh, my.
So terrible. His line delivery is so bad.
Oh, my.
Speaking of which, I got to make sure.
Yes, the T-shirt.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to put up. I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to get their copy of the limited edition. This is the second limited edition T-shirt. They're amazing. If you haven't gotten one yet, please do head over to Teespring and grab yourself a copy of the shirt. And buy me one too because I can't afford it right now.
Yes, Mandevil got one, and Mandevil got one, and he swears by it. They are amazing. And of course, Irish Demon has been wearing. I think he only ever wears the Weekend Horror shirt. He's so in love with it.
Yep.
But yeah, really, Teespring does a magnificent job on printing our shirts. They all come out fantastic. And this one is our limited edition number 2, so it will not be in the store forever. So if you do like our t-shirts, go ahead and jump on them. But if you're trying to complete a collection, you want number 1, number 2, because then we're going to drop number 3. So stay up on the collection. Don't miss a shirt. All right, let's move on to our second film. Unless Johnny has something else. You have anything else?
I'm just about to put what $60,000 of washed up cocaine looks like.
It's no. Leave Gary Busey alone.
Leave him alone. There you go.
Oh, I remember him in that really quick shot he did in Scrubs. When oh my god, so Gary Busey on the screen. Oh my god.
This is him normal now.
Yeah, that's Gary Busey when he wakes up for breakfast.
When he wakes up in the morning. But there was a scene in Scrubs when they're talking about when Elliot doesn't have time to do her hair or get ready for the day, that she gets mistaken for Gary Busey. Oh damn! Win no data again. Oh, there she goes. And they have the moment where it's like, it's like there are days when Elliot doesn't get made up. I totally confused her for Gary Busey, and he's like, yeah, I know you're like. And then Turk walks by and it's like, hey, Elliot, it's Gary Busey. Hey. Oh shit. So going on to our second film, let's jump right into it. Might help me if I pull up my fucking script. Released March 10th, 2006. We have the remake of The Hills Have Eyes. Directed by Alexandre Aja. And screenplay by Aja and Gregory Lavoisier. Based on The Hills Have Eyes, the original by Wes Craven, starring Aaron Stanford, Kathleen Quinlan, Vanessa Shaw, Emily DeRavin, Dan Bird, Robert Joy, and Ted, was she a great big fat girl, Levine. I fucking love him as Buffalo Bill. Wait, was she a great big fat person? I fucking love this one. Remakes, especially horror remakes, tend to be on the soulless side. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Pet Cemetery. But
looking at you, Poltergeist.
But occasionally they nail it. And Alexandre Aja has a magnificent grasp of the horror genre, as does Fede Alvarez, and like he did with Evil Dead. But the Hills Have Eyes remake, I thought, was magnificently done. Now Wes Craven was doing the best he could, and of course it was a great film, and I love Michael Berryman. Michael Berryman, legendary horror actor. Just magnificent dude. But this one really, really got me. I mean, it was visceral. It was fucking brutal. I mean, it was almost like this is the movie that Wes Craven wanted to do. But the limitations of the 70s,
And see, and this is if you're going to remake something, this is exactly why you would remake it. Because, for example, let's say you couldn't do it. So you have the original Hills Have Eyes that came out in 1977, directed by Wes Craven. Yeah. And obviously, at that time, budget-wise, just technology, you have access to only so much that you can do, because the original Hills Have Eyes wasn't like a super big budget or anything like that. And so Wes Craven goes in and he actually produces a remake also, and all those ideas that he had in the original was like, okay, now we can go and we can actually do it, and it feels more like the movie that he actually wanted. And I think that's why it hits.
And that was the thing. There was a bit more comedy in Wes Craven's. It was black comedy, but there was a bit more comedic element in the remake. No, straight graphic, hardcore horror.
I think for me though, that's kind of one thing that I missed in the remake was the dark comedy in there. I think that's what made the original for me. I liked it a little better than the remake. I like what the remake did. I like what the remake improved upon from the original, but I think overall the tone of the original was just more enjoyable for me because of the dark comedy.
Yeah, it had more of a feel of Last House on the Left.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
The kind of visceral, brutal nature of it. Whereas he went a little, obviously, because Hills Have Eyes, he wanted to go a little bit lighter because doing movies like that is really, really hard. I mean, if you get a name for the kind of director that only does hardcore fucking horror like that, you don't have any room to branch. Diving in a little bit. Poor Eli. Sorry, Eli. But yeah, Wes Craven took it in a little bit of a lighter direction. I did like Alexandre's take on this, especially how to describe it. Watching the original Hills Have Eyes, I got the kind of like classic horror since you have the good people and they run into the mutant people. Michael Berryman was just fantastic. Did you know? So Michael Berryman has a very unique health condition. I cannot specifically remember the name of it. But he has no hair and he has no fingernails. So he doesn't grow hair or fingernails, and he can't sweat. So, and I'm going to actually look at the actual name of this.
We've talked about that before because when he was shooting out in the desert, he said he was dying, basically.
Yes, it was. Oh, what is it? Okay, here it is. His unusual physical appearance is pretty much been the root of his career. He has hypohydrotic ectodermal dysplasia, which is a very rare condition characterized by the absence of sweat glands, hair, and fingernails. And they were shooting Hills Have Eyes out in the desert, where it consistently got upwards of 105 to 110 degrees. And he was out there like a fucking champion, playing the villain, running around in that heat, trying to pretty much they had to use every method they could to keep him cool. But I mean that was wildly intense. But this one, how to describe it? The sense of in the original Hills Have Eyes, I didn't pretty much get up and cheer for the good guys like I did in this one. When finally the boyfriend who, the dad, Ted Levine's character, the dad is just giving him shit like all fucking day. Like, you're, cause he's a cop and he's hardcore and he's like, yeah, I'm a man. And, my fucking son-in-law is a fucking pussy. And, he's constantly needling him for being weak or being meek and choosing, to think things through instead of, taking action and being a man of action. And then when he finally does find his fangs, gets up and starts turning the tables on the mutants that are trying to, steal his baby and have killed his wife. Especially that scene when he picks up the fire axe. No, it was a pickaxe. My bad. It's a fucking pickaxe. And when he flips it, does that flip around moment. I was like, fuck yeah. I didn't get to that level in the original Hills Have Eyes, which is why I think I enjoyed this one more. The brutal, visceral nature of the horror of the violence, what they did to the girls, what they did to the Kathleen Quinlan's character, to the mom, what they were trying to do to Emily DeRavin's character, and of course what they did to the dad, which was a rough scene to watch. It got me more involved, more than Hills Have Eyes did. I was able to kind of separate myself from the movie. This one I was all in.
Well, the thing is, when you start looking at that kind of violence, when you start sharing, it's because we, as people, we like violence. True. We really do. And so, and most of the time, violence is bad. You stay away from violence. But when you get that justified violence, where they have done bad things, we want to see them get their just desserts at the very end. We want that karma to come in. It's like that person that comes and fucks with your family. What's the one thing you want to do? Well, you want to sit there and you want to attack them. You want to destroy them. You want to kill them. And we like to watch that. That's why you cheer on that, because we want to see them fuck some bad people up.
Yeah, man. Which one of us was a Marine?
Fine, Johnny, you have an excellent point.
Maybe we can negotiate as I'm like stabbing and killing them.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Okay, note to self: don't invite Eugene over for Christmas.
Oh, Dark Steve. Okay.
Sorry, my bad. Too far? Too far? Was that the line?
Well, I mean, there is that kind of like you put yourself in the hands, or you put yourself in the shoes of the individuals that you're walking. Like we say, horror films, the horror genre is a barometer for the anxieties of society. One of the anxieties you could have is somebody attacking your family. Do you have the capacity? Do you have the strength to defend your family? And I mean, you can train all you want. You can have, everything you need at your disposal, all the tools you need at your disposal, but you never know what's going to go down until it fucking goes down.
Yeah.
And
I feel Go ahead. I was going to say, I just feel like this movie had to do something a little bit different because they couldn't use the reason why these people are there, like in the original, because the original was still close enough to the nuclear test sites and whatnot. That's the reason why these people are all grotesquely deformed, is because they're, product of radiation poison.
Oh, terrific effects, though.
Yeah.
Awesome effects.
Right. And I feel that kind of downplayed that one in the remake, because again, we're talking about 70s versus, what was it, 2000s. So, yeah. But I like what they did. I do like how they, like you were talking about, how they did get you invested into that main character, that father, that character. You get him invested, and you want to see him, take that pickaxe and split somebody's skull with it.
Right in his fucking eye. I especially love the dog because there were two German shepherds, two retired canine units, or canine officers that that the dad had from all. So they had a male and a female German shepherd. Unfortunately, the female one gets killed, but the male one does not. And
which just goes to show that men are better than. I'm kidding.
Don't you take us that direction. But I have to admit, the two kills, because even the German Shepherd gets 2 kills in this thing, and both of them were fantastic. There's a reason that what's his name? That Schwarzenegger's character, True Lies, called him, or no, Tom Arnold's character called him fur-coated razor blades, because that distinctive growl that shepherds have. And so, when the shepherd rips apart the dude who's like spying on them, and then the dude with the massive hydrocephalus, and he's like in the wheelchair, he's like, and then he's like laughing because we're gonna kill him like that. And he turns around, the dog is like snarling at him. I was like, oh fuck, because he couldn't fight back. And it's like, oh. I was like, just got his fucking guts ripped out. Great, it was fantastic stuff.
I'm gonna say that's a rough way to go. I've seen dogs attack. That's rough. Yes. That's a really rough way.
Extremely brutal. So, but excellent effects in this one. I thought all of the different, because they really, really went ahead. I mean, everything that you see in that film, like all of the mutations and the birth defects and all like that, are all taken from real life. So that's stuff and it made it all the more visceral and all the more real. So you don't see like, weird, science fiction-y shit. It was just really, really gross stuff. Like, you wonder how these people are even fucking breathing or walking around, but yeah, they do it. So, but excellent fucking remake. Absolutely fucking enjoyed this one.
It's a great watch. I went back, I saw it in theaters a long time ago, and I went back and rewatched it, just getting ready to talk about it on the podcast. And I forgot how much I enjoyed that film.
Yeah. Charlie Watts says, damn you Texans and your nuclear. George Bush, what would we do without you? Don't answer that question. This is not that kind of podcast. Yes,
well,
you got to feel like you're the person in that position. I thought that this film did that very, very well.
Yes,
I would think the same for like Wes Craven's The Last House on the Left. That the protagonist in that, people truly identified with her, which is why that movie was so controversial at the time that it dropped. And to think of a human being. Oh my God, Man Devil! I've seen dogs attack. That's rough. Eugene 2021. I actually didn't even pick up on that. Thank you, live chat, for picking up on it. It's rough.
Wolf.
Oh, you can just imagine the police officer. Rough him up.
Paw Patrol.
Oh, good. But Chris Turb says I was late on that one. But it's all good. Excellent fucking joke. What the fuck was I?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you were because
My brain train totally hit a penny in the track, man. I had no idea what the fuck I was going. That I saw that and I was like,
Yep.
it's rough.
When you got a joke that good, you just gotta let it happen. Just let it happen.
Yeah.
Go with it. Yes, this is the beauty of our live chat. Anybody listening on our podcast, feel free. Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Time. Stop by, check out the live chat. We have amazing people in here, and we love to interact with you guys. And of course, you get funny ass shit like that, which just making me giggle. That's great stuff. You know what? Let's drop the CTA. I'll go ahead and drop the CTA, and we'll move on to our third one. But we would like to know. Let us know in the live chat. Let us know in the comments below, or hit us up at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Alex is sick currently. He needs your emails because they keep him warm.
Yep.
They give him power. What did you prefer? Did you prefer the original Wes Craven one or the remake of the 2006 Aha remake? Let us know because we'd like to hear what you and why do you prefer the ones? Why do you prefer those ones? So let us know. We'd love to hear from you. So I think Eugene has our third film.
Yeah, switch real quick because we talked about in terms of the live show. Go ahead. All you guys should do is go to youtube.com/weekinhorror at 8 p.m. Central Time, and we'll be right here making corny jokes about dogs. And it's rough.
Tina Jones says, and the quadruped? The quadruped is missing this. Quadruped.
Yeah, I think she means what's oh gosh.
Or
from Alaska. What's his name? Sir Little Wolf. God bless America.
Sir Little Wolf.
Oh.
Hopefully he'll be able to pop by here in a bit. And of course, Dark Steve says, my brain died at the start of the stream. I'm sorry, the connection issues. We're trying. We're doing our best. Did you say
we have bad internet infrastructure?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Jinju says, damn, now I got to watch the original. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
It's
required
not
viewing.
You're not gonna be mad. I promise you'll enjoy them.
Oh, no.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
But all right, so on to our next film. We have Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which was released March 12th, 2006. And it was directed by Scott Grosserman, and it stars Nathan Beazle, Angela Goethals, I hope I got that right or close, Scott Wilson, and Zelda Rubinstein, and also Robert Englund.
You can't have a horror film without dropping Robert Englund in there, especially if it's a new character.
Yeah. And so basically what you do is you have the main character played by Nathan, who plays Leslie Vernon, and he idolizes his favorite slashers, such as Jason and Michael. And so he actually stages a situation where he has a crew following him as he carries out basically his fantasy of being a slasher by going around killing people.
One of the interesting things about this, and the thing that got my attention when it first came out, was in the Leslie Vernon universe, in the universe of this movie, slashers like the epic famous slashers, they're not films, they're historical events, like they happened, and he's obsessed with them, and he wants to be the next one, which is his whole inspiration behind doing this, making it making history. So I thought that was next level. I thought it was very, very cool as far as the mockumentary style. Oh, and look who has joined us.
Uh-oh. We're in trouble now.
Jessica G, so excellent to see you. She says Irish Demon was in a film with a similar name called The Hills Have Pies.
Oh, Lordy.
Not to be confused with The Hills Have Thighs, which is another movie entirely. And there's PhD Tony. So good to see you, sir. More of our brilliant, beautiful, we love you so much patrons. You guys help to make this show possible. We cannot thank you enough. So thank you so much for popping by and saying hi. We love you guys. But back to it. Behind the Mask. Interesting being a horror mockumentary.
Which is not really something that you see very often on it, because it kind of goes into, like, it's like the super meta I mean, you have like Scream meta, and it kind of pushes it even further past that on it.
I feel like you had more to say there.
Well, because like we had our talking points. I was like, oh well, let's carry it over to a talking point, and I was like, and that's Q, and I was like, oh, that's it. But in terms of one of the really interesting things about it is
that his mentor in the film was named Eugene.
Maybe.
No. Hey, go on.
But it dives into the fact that copycats, because you actually go and you'll actually have people that will look at horrific events and try to copy them or try to do their own version of them, which is his own kind of twisted thing, because we watch horror movies because we can enjoy it, maybe some level of catharsis behind it. It says something outside. I mean, there's 100 different reasons we've talked about why we love horror film, but one of the things we don't do is we're not trying to recreate them for real, maybe fiction film wise, but never for real. We're not going to go out and try to go and kill a bunch of people or lure some people and kill. We're not going to ever try to do that, but there's people out there that will. Don't worry about that. Don't worry.
Should be coming up any second now.
Think we're good?
Yep.
Sorry about that, everybody. We'll make that edit for Sunday's release of this episode. That's one of the things, when you do live, it's difficult. I would just notice that Chris Durham Music Channel says, this is why I'm afraid to start streaming. And also, I can't talk on camera without a script. It just takes practice. And I know that you'll get there. You're extraordinarily talented, dude. You will get there. I promise you. It just, you got to get over that first hump, and you got to kind of like learn from your mistakes, and, you'll get it. Man Elvis says, I swear it's the lawnmower man attacking from cyberspace about the bad comments last week. I wouldn't be surprised. Job's kind of a dick like that. And of course, this all went down the minute Jessica G and Peachy Tony jumped into the chat. So you can thank them. They're the ones that broke the internet. Absolutely. So, and Jessica G, I'm sorry to hear about your BioShock stream. That sucks. It sucks when it goes down like that. But thank you for apparently she was doing it, and then all of a sudden her internet just like dropped on her. She's having problems with her provider. That she's trying to work out with them. I think there's an issue with. She thinks it might be an issue with throttling, but she's not 100% sure. But I hope she gets it sorted out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we were saying about this one, I dug. The one thing I thought was really, really neat, and obviously being a horror mockumentary, this film was definitely a horror movie specifically designed for the horror fan. Not only is it treated, the treatment of all of our favorite slashers throughout, film history, they're treated as real, historical events. Leslie's modeling himself after these things. And of course, I thought he was brilliant in the role. What is it called? The mise-en-scene shift, I thought was deeply inspired. And, basically the movie within a movie, where it shifts from the documentary into what is, the actual horror film itself. And that's when the crew, because Leslie, the character, has a crew following around. They're shooting a documentary. They're documenting Leslie's rise to become the next prolific slasher. That's what he wants to do. So he's organized pretty much his kill arena, which is like this old farmhouse, and he's packed it full of teenagers, and he plans on killing them all one by one. He's meticulously planning every single thing, learning from all the mistakes of the horror legends of past to make sure he can kill everyone, and then finally, force his showdown with the final girl at the end. But then, of course, things go hilariously wrong because the crew end up turning on him and trying to save people, which, makes everything just goes fucking insane. And it's a lot of fun. And because at the same time, he's still documenting himself as he's going through his murder spree. But it's an absolutely fun film. And if you do love horror films and you love deconstructing the genre, which I think this film actually did better than Scream did, because I think Scream was just kind of like a satirical look at horror and where horror had come from and what horror had become. This one was more of a deconstruction of the genre and breaking down why we look for the things that we want and why we need to see these things, and why horror is classified as horror in the first place.
Yeah, because like I said, Scream goes and reinvigorated the genre, right? And it brings up quite a few tropes. It does dive a little bit further. I think Scream is a little bit more easily digestible because Scream is just a straightforward meta film instead of this one being like a mockumentary style on it. But the fact that it's mockumentary allows it to dive deeper into it than any way that Scream could have. So it may be something like, if people who aren't a fan of slasher films may not necessarily get, like, you don't have to be a fan of slasher films to watch Scream and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. Whereas with this one, you already have to know the genre pretty well and have seen quite a few slasher films to really get into it. It's a good film. It's great to watch, and it's fun to poke fun at some of the tropes that are always there, but you have to be that fan of slasher films.
That may have been why, because anybody who's a horror fan loves this fucking movie and has talked about it a great deal. And I've seen it a number of times. The issue thing is that it didn't do as well as it should. It obviously didn't do as well as Scream. I think, the box office on this was like literally $70,000. Was how much the box office was on Behind the Mask, and it was definitely worth more than that. It should have. I think it had a good revival, or it had a good run on DVD and on online sales, but it should have done a lot better. But like you said, Eugene, this was a very much a meta film, and pretty much catered to the hardcore horror fan. Who looks at it through that lens, like the guy who's it caters to the fan who's going to look at the werewolf transformation scene in Trick or Treat and go, "That's fucking hot." Or like me, like going to a horror convention and asking Kane Hodder to choke me out.
Exactly. It's for that level of fan. And I'm looking at the time period it came out, and because it has that mockumentary kind of feel, some found footage kind of feel. You still had a lot of stuff coming. That was kind of towards the end of the found footage genre because, like I said, Blair Witch came out in 1999. And you had some other films, kind of like Quarantine, and then Paranormal Activity came out next year. And it may have been even that style that it was filmed in. People may have been expecting way more found footage, and it kind of could have steered them away from it.
Definitely. And I dug it was kind of a throw-in, and I like how it touched on all elements. You get a little taste of all elements of horror in this. It is a slasher film. It is a black comedy, but the cinematography. I don't know. The cinematography is hallmarks of a variety of different genres. Anybody who loves horror, like really loves horror, like Weekend Horror loves horror, should definitely check this one out. Man Devil, I think he just bugged out because he didn't want to hear too much about it because he wants to watch it himself. Highly recommended. Jessica G, I was waiting for it. My armor has been built up, young lady. You cannot pierce me anymore.
I've been charging this entire live stream waiting for you to arrive.
So Jessica G or Soma in the live chat or going to the Oscars and bringing up Hellraiser 3. They keep fucking rejecting me. God damn it. Dark Steve, words be hard. Yeah, they can be. Or going to a Trek convention dressed up as Harry Potter. Looking at you, PhD Tony. PhD Tony is Harry Potter. That's fucking scary. Oh, that's fucking wild. No fucking way.
But it's awesome. It's a must watch. I'm trying to think of some other horror mockumentaries.
Well, I was curious because it's not a common thing. Mockumentaries are, we get a bunch of them all over the place. But the horror mockumentary, is this something that people would want to see more of? Or is it just a little too meta for I would say for mainstream audiences? Most likely is why we haven't seen another one come along, because this one just didn't perform very well commercially. So, is it something that people would do? That are people in the live chat or people in the comments, would they want to see horror mockumentary? Should this be done more, or is it good to get it in like small doses? Like Behind the Mask did it. That's really all we need. Maybe give it 10 years, maybe 15. We'll get another one. I'm kind of curious what the audience thinks of that.
Well, because when you look at like mockumentary, so mockumentary is deconstructed genre. So like one of the best parodies make fun of movies is Airplane, which Airplane destroyed the entire disaster genre, completely killed the entire genre. I love that movie Airplane, but
a streak of movies that did that, like Not Another Teen Movie, Not Another Action Movie. There was like I don't remember the production company that actually put those on, but I do remember the movies. And it was basically what?
Meet the Spartans.
Like Meet the Spartans.
Yeah, Meet the Spartans, which they started off with the one that made fun of Scream.
Scary Movie.
Scary Movie. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so I know that production, they started off with Scary Movie on it, but maybe you can't, because somebody deconstructs that genre. The genre has to change enough where somebody can deconstruct it again, because you can't have this movie then 2 years later make another horror mockumentary about slasher films, deconstructing the genre again.
It's an interesting thought, and I would like to see another one. Only because I'm a big time horror fan. I think it's an area that doesn't get enough not enough people dive into, not enough directors are willing to dive into. But I think it'd be a cool one. Or I'm just throwing it out there. How about a fucking sequel to this film?
That ain't gonna happen.
I mean, I think it'd be worth it. I think it'd be cool, but nonetheless, who fuck? Oh yes, Dark Steve, epic movie, correct?
Yes.
There's a blah. But definitely let us know in the comments below, or let us know in the live chat comments below, or hit us up weekinhorror@gmail.com.
Yes.
So Johnny, you have our last film for the night.
I do. Let me fix my camera. Here we go. All right. 2007, we saw a movie called Sublime. And no, we're not talking about white man's reggae. Directed by Tony Krantz, written by Eric Jenderson, starring Tom Cavanaugh, Kathleen York, let's see here, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Catherine Cunningham Eves. This movie is, I don't know if a plot summary is really needed. It's just drop a bunch of psychedelics. And then do a few lines of cocaine. And that's this movie in a nutshell.
Damn.
Yeah. This one. I mean, after Alex had mentioned how crazy this one was, I started looking at just a few scenes of this thing, thinking, "Good Lord."
Yes, I have to. I've been looking forward to touching on Sublime. It was the minute I watched that, because I saw it digitally first, and then I immediately went out and bought a copy for my own personal collection. I really dig surrealistic horror, and this one goes really extreme. It's a film that I could think would be comparable would be like Mandy. Whereas Mandy, you can watch it for Manic Nick Cage, and you can watch it for the what a sublime choice of a movie. Yes, it was Jessica G. Very much like Mandy, where you can watch it for the Manic Nick Cage and the violence on the surface. Mandy goes miles deep into the narrative of, and of course, the kind of like setup for what these characters are. It's very, very metaphorical. And Sublime is absolutely no different. Tom Cavanaugh's performance in this was terrific. Conveying the notion of being trapped in a kind of in the nightmare dream state and fighting like hell to get out of it, but things keep holding you back. But he's perceiving them as though they were actually real. And then of course the imagery. I don't want to spoil too much about it because I really want people to watch this movie. But the image, with the nurse with the tree of life on her back, and I don't want to say he was an orderly. But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
The guy with the red bow tie.
Yeah, I was like, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
The thing I really dig about surreal horror is the art direction and cinematography.
Yes.
Because you don't have the conventional bounds of Like if you're doing a film that takes place in a hospital, well, it always has to look like a hospital. There are certain things that have hospital aspects. You're constricted to certain things. But when you really dive into surreal, you can do things, you can show imagery that you can't show in any other like type of film. And a lot of those imagery is really beautiful and can really go out there. And it's limitless. And with the color palettes you play with, anything you want is on the table.
Your hospital doesn't necessarily have to be in a hospital.
Oh, go ahead. Good.
I was just, talking about different.
One thing I really dig is that. Go ahead.
And now nobody's going to talk because we're all in timeout.
Oh no! one thing that really struck me, and I'm glad that you touched on that, Eugene, was that the hospital setting, and that obviously you could do a lot of things with a hospital.
Yep.
But the kind of subconscious notion of a hospital, this is a place of healing. It's a place that you get better. It's a place of order. That there should not be chaos in a hospital, and that it's clean.
Well, if there
sterile.
is chaos, it's a controlled chaos.
Oh, it's true, but not like like chaotic,
right?
Like out of control,
right?
Exactly. And so, when you shoot a hospital, and you can shoot it, you can capture it very similar to like Grey's Anatomy or like any other hospital procedural. It's a very sterile environment. It's a clean environment. The focus is on the patient, and of course, you want people to heal. And it's a place of positivity. People. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing. The hospital itself, but you tweak the angles that you shoot them in. You tweak the lighting, maybe dim it a little bit. Dutch angle a shot, or portray a hospital in a state of disarray, like an abandoned hospital. And it really turns it on its head. It puts an extra level of gravitas to this. Now, take in this particular one, the kind of nightmare version of the hospital. The scene when the nurse is, pushing him through, and he's like, "Yo, what's down there? Oh, that's the East Wing. Nobody ever, it's been under construction as long as I can remember." And they go down there and they're viewing what's going on there, and it goes very Jacob's Ladder. And everything that you see, I don't want to spoil too much because there's
it's okay. Spoiled.
There's depth to everything, but I know, but you can take away a lot from this movie, and that was also one of the great things about it is that I think to the individual you can take away different things from this story.
Yeah, because when you start diving into stuff that's like super artistic, it becomes more and more subjective. It's not gonna like the Hills Has Eyes is straightforward.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you can go and look at it, and all three of us can be sitting there watching this movie and be shown an image and think all three of us think of something completely different.
Yeah, it's the ink blot style. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Very much a horror Rorschach.
Yeah.
If you would. And everything that you get, I mean, I chalk this up just to one of the horror films that. Oh, did we lose it? No. I got the no data. Okay, there we go. I chalk this up as one of the horror movies that is that helped me develop as a filmmaker. It gave me a new way of looking at things, looking at the innocuous, or looking at something that typically you have a particular view, like looking at a hospital, or looking at nurses, looking at orderlies, even the bureaucratic nonsense that goes on in a hospital. Okay, even looking at that stuff, you have an idea of what these things are, probably thanks to the media or thanks to television procedural shows, and turning that thing on its head, and realize you can birth something new out of that. And for anybody who is interested in becoming a filmmaker, I strongly recommend this movie. Not to mention Tom Cavanaugh. If you know him, you should know him from The Flash. He plays Harrison Wells in The Flash, but he is absolutely amazing. His arc throughout this film is incredible.
Well, because it's like I said, a matter of playing in terms of a filmmaker being able to experiment, because you have the scene where he's in the wheelchair, he's being rolled down. Well, okay, you can put like a full frame camera or 35 or 50 millimeter lens on it, and it's going to look like your standard shot that you see in any other kind of movie. But this is like, okay, let's take a confined space. Now let's put a super wide lens on it. So you'll put like a 14 millimeter, which a lot of times will bow some of the edges and kind of distort the perspective of distance on certain things because the lens is so wide. And then we can shoot it that way.
You can do a full on like fucking fisheye lens too in that scenario, that situation, to really jack things up.
Exactly. So you can really play with like a lot of the shots where you see him laying on the table, instead of being just laying on the table, him straight forward. Now he's like this way, sideways, upside down. Things that can keep the audience a lot of on its toes, because you have to kind of process more of what you're seeing.
Right. And that's what makes visual horror work so well when it's more visual. You can take something and it doesn't have to be graphic. It can just be a jarring camera angle.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the Dutch angle ever since old school Batman.
Right.
Yeah, when I learned that, that's how you can actually, you can even go back and forth. You can go back to the comic books, and that drawing your characters with the villains are portrayed at the weird, odd angles to convey that their perspective of the world is off.
It's skewed.
And then it's skewed. Yes. And then the hero always gets the straight on. It's nice. There's symmetry there. The villain's always slightly off. Using Dutch angles is just one of the most classic camera techniques in order to switch the perspective, to give a perspective change to the actual audience, and helps to get them more invested, because you realize, I'm looking at the world in a different way. It's really, really cool, and I love it. It's so Hitchcockian, because he was big on playing with the angles and how he was shooting stuff.
That's really the best way to create tension. There's no real setup in the film required. You just wonk eye the fucking camera. It works in everything. Like people, I don't know how many here remember playing like Resident Evil, the original, on the PlayStation for the first time.
Yep.
Yep.
And then when you're trying to maneuver this haunted house and all these weird angles, that's what made that so just like tension building. Was like, fucking hell. I'm not used to, I'm used to first person or even third person, but it was right over the shoulder. Now we're at some weird fucking angle that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm disoriented, and each room is different. So it's when you do stuff like that, especially in a visceral type of horror or visual type of horror film, it works so well.
Yes,
absolutely.
And I have to admit, that's one of the things they paid attention to in the first Resident Evil film. They Paul Anderson specifically. There was so much about the movie that was taken from the game. Like number one, bodies disappearing once you leave the room and come back and the body is gone.
It was still garbage.
That was in the film. But of course, the angles of how they shot, he used it a lot, and that did lend itself to it. I thought it was a very inspired adaptation. And of course, you're going to think it sucks either way. Whatever.
I like the Resident Evil. I like the first two films.
Resident Evil Nemesis wasn't too bad. I thought Resident Evil Apocalypse was good. I thought Nemesis was a little shoehorned in, but he's a big giant monster. It was cool. It was fun to watch him. I'm a giant monster, and tiny little Mila Jovovich is gonna fucking fight him, and it's just great because you realize how small she is and how big that fucker is. It was great stuff. But I do love really cool camera techniques like that. Very simple stuff that can help draw the audience in, because now all of a sudden they're seeing the world in a different perspective. The things that are done in Sublime to create an almost dreamlike, an almost ethereal dreamlike quality, kind of flowing back and forth, like the nightmare aspect, being stuck in that, and very Kafka-esque, which I thought was neat, because 1408 did that as well. And he even made there's even the in joke, I was stuck in this Kafka-esque hotel. It never ends over and over and over again. And in this way, it was very similar to that, where he constantly is going through these these kind of shifts between the dream to the nightmare. And I know people in the live chat have had this experience. I know you guys have as well. You ever been waking up? And I call it like surface dreaming, where you're almost awake, but you're kind of aware, but not really.
Yeah.
And that disorientation that you get right when you finally do wake up, and you're still kind of separating what was dream and what was real.
Yep.
Okay. And I thought they captured that brilliantly in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, another movie do that very well was The Cell. Very underrated.
I was actually fixing to say, in terms of surreal horror, one of the aspects that gets forgotten a lot is art direction.
Yep.
And you talk about with The Cell, The art direction of that film was on point.
Yeah,
It knocked it out of the fucking park.
yeah, such an underrated film too.
It really is, because I remember seeing the trailer a long time ago, and it was like the first image. I was like, I got to see that.
Yeah,
I don't even know what I'm looking at, but I need to see it.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. I may have to stream that one. The Cell was amazing. Everyone in that movie was great.
Amazing. His portrayal of the bad guy was just on point.
His different aspects, like the different personas that he maintained.
Right.
And Vince Vaughn. Holy shit.
Yeah, he's got chops, man. He's so much more than just the guy in Wedding Crashers or whatever. What was the other one? We're going streaking.
Old school.
Old school. Yeah. He's so much better than that character.
You're crazy, man.
Yeah, I feel kind of. I wish he didn't allow himself to get shoehorned in those type of roles.
Yeah. He was really good in Freaky. If you haven't seen Freaky yet, definitely check that out. Yes, Vince Vaughn can play a 16-year-old girl. Which is a weird thing to fucking say, but he really can. If you and one thing I'll give, if you haven't seen Freaky yet, you do definitely go watch it. Watch Vince Vaughn. There are little nuances that he adds to the character when the focus is not on him. So, because you'll have another character talking, and then he'll react to what they're saying, but he'll react like a 16-year-old girl, and it's so brilliantly timed. I swear I don't know. It bums me out that he got pigeonholed in that, because you watch movies like Psycho, the Psycho remake.
We talked about this the other day. His freaking performance was on point.
So the Psycho remake, Jurassic Park 2, Lost World. You watch the Lost World.
Yep.
Freaky, and we just mentioned it, or The Cell.
The Cell.
He really has serious fucking range and needs to be given the opportunity to do more. I know he loves doing comedy. He's great. Dodgeball. Dodgeball was a fantastic movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
But you look at him like in Swingers. It's a great film.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Vince Vaughn, Vincent D'Onofrio, and of course Jennifer Lopez. That everybody in this film was absolutely amazing. And I think it was because
I could have done without Jennifer Lopez.
I honestly thought,
she wasn't
nowadays,
terrible.
I don't think Jennifer Lopez could do this movie now.
No,
I think this was at a time when she was still proving herself. She still had something to prove, and everybody's got to. And when you're trying to make it in Hollywood, everybody's got to run the gauntlet of doing horror movies. You will be doing horror movies. Like Demi Moore's, I think Demi Moore's first film, or first two films, were horror films. The Seventh Sign and Parasite. So you got to run the gamut. And for someone who's hungry, who's really, I think it was only a few years before that she was a fly girl on In Living Color.
Right. And this was the second thing she did after Anaconda, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think yeah. And so, and you give it Anaconda. Oh, I'm a film student. I'm going out to film stuff. Giant snake.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Ice Cube is there, or Ice T is there.
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
Wow.
You
couldn't be more white right now. Okay.
I'm so fucking white.
You see the box outlining the T-shirt. You're whiter than that.
I'm a fucking white guy. Sorry. Ice Baby.
Oh,
I know who that is.
Hell.
But nonetheless. So Ice Cube. Yeah, Ice T is SVU. Ice Cube is
Ice-T is 187. It's Cop Killer, okay? Fucking SVU. God damn it.
He was a special.
Yes, I know he's in Special Victims Unit. I know.
You realize he's been on Special Victims Unit longer than he's done anything else.
I get it. But his claim to fame was 187 Cop Killer.
Anyhow. So, but going from that, film student, giant snake, it's scary. John Voight being creepy, because John Voight's a creepy guy. To turn around and
playing John Voight.
John Voight playing John Voight. And then, of course, going to this. And Cell was demonstrably a much, much more difficult role.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And the level of vulnerability, the level of compassion, and the level of strength that she has to show in this. She's got to run the gamut of the human experience. And for a second film, that's fucking ballsy. And so I had to give it to her as an actress, that she sold those moments that she needed to sell. And I think the fact that she was still kind of green, her rawness led, I think, played to the character compared to she was, who she was and what she was doing for a living and who she was facing, Vincent D'Onofrio's serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it played very well. I think it was
I think that worked against her though.
Really?
Having such excellent talent around her really highlighted the fact that she wasn't refined, she wasn't polished, and the mistakes that she made were they seemed to stick out a little bit more because of the other performances that were just phenomenal.
See, I've always felt like I felt like she was good. Like what she did in the film was adequate. And it's a great film. Like she doesn't detract from it at all. But could I picture a few other people that would have been better in the film? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Julianne Moore would have been good.
She would have been, yeah.
Like there's an example right there. She would have fucking killed.
She would have fucking killed that role.
Julianne Moore would have fucking just killed that role outright. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. Gingy says, I can't be on point. I don't have the shoes. That's right. And yes, Gavlar, the head of Zod, I am white and nerdy. Gonna catch me nerdy. Yes, I know that song. PhD Tony says everyone's use of on point is on point.
There we go.
Exactly.
And Dark Steve would like us to know that my life is an FPS without the S.
Yep.
First person.
That's your own choice. You can add the S whenever you want.
No, you can't.
I didn't say legally.
That's fucking amazing. All right. Well, dang. So Sublime was actually a part of a film, not really a film series, but a kind of like branding that released, wasn't it? The raw feed. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I look at the script and realize that it's my turn to say, hey, everybody who's listening to us, let us know what your favorite raw feed horror film is. Let us know in the side chat, comments down below, or email us at weekinhorror@gmail.com because Alex is throwing up and needs something to do.
Besides throwing up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, email.
Oh, he's like that. He's like that little baby, that little Chinese baby that smelled his mother's stinky foot.
Commander Darklight, yes, Julianne Moore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Legend.
What was that movie she was in? It was it was a Sylvester Stallone film with it had Sylvester Stallone and James Woods.
Wait, it had who?
Sly Stone and James Woods.
Nice dodge.
What, Sylvester Stallone?
Oh, there you go. Because earlier it was Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone.
Hey, at least I know who the fuck. At least I know the fucking difference between goddamn Ice-T and Ice Cube.
Hey, dude, I'm white. I have an excuse.
No, you don't.
Yes, I fucking do.
What was the name of that movie? Stone played. They were both demolitions experts. God, what's the name of that movie? The Specialist. I think it was called The Specialist.
Oh, I haven't thought about Specialist in a long time.
No. Assassins.
No, that's not. No, Assassins.
No, that's the one with Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, Antonio Banderas. This is The Specialist. I promise you.
Julianne Moore was in that too.
Yeah, that's the reason why I brought it up, because she was young and super hot in that one.
Yeah, Assassins.
It's not Assassins.
Oh, wait, hang on. Assassins. Film stars Sylvester Stallone, Antonio Banderas, and Julianne Moore.
I'm thinking of The Specialist. That was what's her name? Yeah, you actually got the movie I was thinking of. I thought of The Specialist because of the Sly Stone and James Woods, but that had what's her name in it?
Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, go drink your vanilla ice, baby. Yeah, Assassins is Julianne Moore, and Sharon Stone is the other lady. Yeah, but yeah, Assassins, Julianne Moore, very, very pretty.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
Pretty.
Or fucking Big Lebowski. Just Jeffrey, love me.
And then she was in that. She was in that other film with what's his name from Third Rock from the Sun. Don John.
Oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I love him too. Oh, good stuff. PhD Tony, can you guys not see the chat? We can't see the chat, but we were looking. I was trying to see if he was going to.
We're ignoring you, PhD Tony.
Ooh. And Dark Steve says even colorblind people can see the difference with the ices. Ouch.
Wow.
Ouch. That's brutal. That's hardcore. How about this? How about we move on? How about we fucking move on to the trivia question for the night?
Who
wants to win something? You want to move on to the trivia question? Yes, I'm going to give the trivia question.
I do.
Who wants a mustache ride? I
do. Oh, man. Dude, you know what? I just had a terrific idea for April 1st. We should not be the Week in Horror. We should be the Week in Comedy.
I don't know. Why do you do stuff like this in a live stream?
Because it's fun. It's fun watching you. It's fun watching you squirm.
Your conversation we need to have in private.
No, because that's the way you can judge their reactions. If a lot of people like it, well, then you're on to a hit idea.
Yeah.
I don't watch enough comedy films. I know them, but I don't watch enough.
Exactly. You'd be out of your element.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Anyhow, we're giving fucking suck. Anywho, the trivia question for tonight. We are giving away, and what was I? Now I don't know if I want to give away an item from the store. I was going to give away an item from the store. I was going to give away one of the coffee mug from the store. But you know what? Fuck that. I'm not going to give away the coffee mug from the store. I'm going to give away something different. You know what I'm going to give away? I'm going to give away DVD copies of every film that we talked about tonight. Every single one. I'm going to give DVD copies of Late Phases, The Hills Have Eyes, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, and Sublime. Because
wait a minute.
Cool
what was that third film? Behind the Mask,
The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Yeah. Turnabout's fair play, motherfucker.
I'm going to give away DVD copies of every movie we talked about: Late Phases, The Hills Have Eyes, Behind the Mask, and Sublime, to the person who can get this trivia question correct. So, I hope you guys were paying attention. Here's a question for tonight. Nick D'Amici plays a hardened vampire hunter in what post-apocalyptic horror film?
Ooh.
So once again, Nick D'Amici plays a hardened vampire hunter in what post-apocalyptic horror film? The first person to get the answer right wins a DVD copy of all four films that we talked about tonight. Gavlar Handazad's got it. Boom.
Bam! First guess.
With Stakeland. I actually don't think he guessed that. I think he knew it.
I think he knew. We've talked about it before on the podcast.
And Gavlar the Hand of Zod, one of our amazing patrons, has won DVD copies of every movie we talked about tonight. I wanted to give away something different than something from the store. I was thinking about giving away a coffee mug, but I was like, you know what? Fuck that. Jessica G's fucking nerd. Oh, Charlie Welch. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Gavlar jumped on it. Christopher Music Channel, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
No, just Sisterhood of the Pants.
Sisterhood of the Pants.
Yeah. Gary Busey says Commander Darklight.
Gary Busey. Yeah, that's just Gary Busey's life.
Yep.
Jones.
You know, you could tell him that. You could tell him that. He would have to believe you because that fucker doesn't remember.
That is true. Gavlar Hanazad says, yes, Jess Jan, proud of it. Proud of it, Jess. And Dark Steve frickin' laughing my ass off. Anyhow, so congratulations to Gavlar, the Hand of Zod. I have your shipping information. I will get those films to you shortly. Hopefully, things seem to be lighting up. And I think shipments are going out faster than they were. We're not seeing the delays that we were getting. I'm pretty sure everybody's received the items that they should have received. Hopefully, those things have arrived. If they don't arrive, let me know. I try to keep track of them. Sometimes I don't get updates as often as I would like. But Gavlar, I will get you your movie copies as soon as I can. Awesome. That was fucking sweet. That one came in fast.
Yeah, that came in really fast.
Gavlar, I gotta know. Let us know. Let me know in the chat. I gotta know. Did you know that right off the top of your head, or were you just that quick on the keys?
I mean, that was pretty fast.
He probably just knew it off the top
I think
of his
he
head.
knew that one because that was like 2 seconds after you asked the question, like before the delay got through it. Like he was answering that question when he was here, like midway when he was hearing it. So he knew that one. I'm positive.
That's bad.
Yeah, he's already like, I was like, I watched Steak Lane yesterday.
It's a good movie. It's
It
a
is.
surprisingly good movie. And Kelly McGillis is in it. That was the movie she kind of made her return because she kind of retired for a while, and then she came back and did. And the first movie she did was Steak Land. And Gavlar says he knew it off the top of his fucking head.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. I believe it. Definitely.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, like I say, because of the quickness. The words didn't even finish coming out of your mouth before that fucking guy had that answer in there.
And that right there is what we call nerd skill. That is how you win prizes right there.
Exactly.
Who's a nerd? We're all nerds, but Gavlar is a winning nerd.
It pays off to be a nerd.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to you, Gavlar, the Hand of Zod, another one of our amazing patrons. Really do appreciate it, and we'll get those out to you as quick as we can.
All right. And that brings another episode of Week in Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening, and we truly hope you enjoyed the show. We'd like to send a special shout out to our incredible Patreons who have helped us make the show the success it has become. Thank you so much, Jeff Roberts, Dark Steve, Commander Darklight, Sarchasm, Crafty Keela, Anthony Purcell, Gavlon, Hand of Zod, which I love that name, by the way, too.
It's a fucking awesome name, isn't it?
Fucking awesome. Mike Barrett, Jessica G, Nana, Kyrie, Alexis S, and Jose Oliad?
Olalde.
Oh, Jose Olalde. I like that name too. I like it. So thank you so much. And visit us at weekinhorror.net where you can find links to all of our episodes, our bios, our merch store at Teespring, and of course, enter your email for a permanent entry to win a mystery horror shirt every month. For more horror entertainment, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Followers get our daily splatter, a bit of horror info every day, right to your feed. You never know what you may discover. We really hope you enjoy the new live format, and we love to get your feedback. Subscribe to our channel and smash that bell like a zombie's head for all the latest from the show. And lastly, if you truly love what we do here and you would like and are able to support our production, you can through our PayPal and our Patreon. We have Patreon tiers as low as $1, which have bonus and exclusive content and horror films every month. Links to everything, including our Discord community where you can find film recommendations, trailer, trivia games, and interact with us directly, are below. But we know these are trying times and things are extremely tight. As always, simply liking and sharing this show to your local horror community is always the absolute best way to help us continue to grow. We appreciate each and every one of you for your continued listenership. And I'm Eugene.
I'm JL.
I'm Johnny.
All right, and we'll see you next week. And as always, stay scared.